Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Dr. Spotfire session. I'm your host, Boris, and today I'm joined with Jose Levigire. We both work at Spotfire. You probably know us from other Dr. Spotfire session. You want to say hi, Jose?
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
Today I'm going to be hosting this session, and Jose is going to actually show us some demos, and he's going to talk about data on demand. So, without further ado, let's kick it off. Before we start, very quickly define what Spotfire is. Spotfire is a visual data science platform that helps smart people rapidly create interactive visual analytics applications to solve complex industry problems. If you are seeing us for the very first time today, and you don't know what the Dr. Spotfire office hours are, so Dr. Spotfire is a program designed to help new and advanced Spotfire users. It's hosted by Spotfire experts in data science and customer success, and we do those sessions every first Tuesday of every month, streaming live in YouTube and LinkedIn. How does it work? Most importantly, this program is aimed to help all Spotfire users, and we try to get as much as feedback from yourselves through different channels such as social media or Spotfire community, YouTube, and so on. So this has that's through ideas portal and so on. So keep sending us your feedback. This would result in new visualizations, new data functions, new apps, and so on. Moving to our motto, learning is not driven by answers but by questions. So feel free if you're watching us on YouTube or in LinkedIn, please post your questions and we'll try to answer them as soon as possible. Quick confidentiality disclaimer, and I think we're ready to kick off today. You're going to, as I mentioned, you're going to hear from myself and from Jose, and we're going to talk about data on demand. And I think, Jose, you can take over from here.
Yes, thank you, Boris. You want to put my screen and then I can take it from there.
Yep. All right. Think
There we go. Okay,
that's it.
so what I'm going to talk about is what's data on demand, why do you want data on demand, and also the difference between types of data on demand. We have in-memory data on demand that you can be driven by tooltip, markings, detailed visualizations, and there's also a feature called details on demand that's very useful. Going to go over rather quickly because I want to focus on the loading external data, which is in database, or it's called in database. And that can be done through information links or data connectors. Also, you can do data on demand with data connectors and data functions if you're fetching maybe an external API. And I'm going to do some demos while that, so stick with us. And but before, let's go over what's data on demand. So data on demand is useful for analyzing massive data sets efficiently. And this can be controlled dynamically through user interactions like marking or filtering some data points or via document properties. Um, Again, we have the in-memory and in-database features. And here's a distinction of that. The first demo that I'm going to do is to focus with the data already in memory, and I'm going to do explain about tooltips, markings, detailed visualizations, and data on demand. So I mean details on demand. So let's start by looking at the table. We have here a couple of tables that I'm going to be using through the demo, but at this point, we just want to only focus on the demographics by city. It has a state, city, state, and then we have an abbreviation of the state code and different metrics. So tooltips. Tooltips are one way to get data on demand. For example, I have this map. I plotted all those cities in this map. I have different layers, but one of my layers is the city. So these markers you can see with the tooltip additional information about this data point. You can also have additional information of data points by using labels. You can set them up, the labels, by selecting one of them. Here is the same thing here with the tooltips. On any other visualization, you have that tooltip options, and you can do that by going to the properties and go to the tooltip options, and then you have a predefined tooltips where you can turn it on and off depending on the value of your axis, or the category is going to show that tooltip. But you can also add additional tooltips. I created these, for example, this extra household size if you want to add more information into it. The way you do it, you can add it, and then you can set your custom expression. You can rename, instead of having that complex expression, you have just the name, and you can render as a text or as an image of the URL. In this case, I have an example for image in URL. So I'm going to add this. I had to do a calculation because when you mouse over, you're going to see the flag of that specific city. And that can be a logo or anything. In this case, you have to ask your administrator to whitelist whatever website you're referring to, because the way it works is that you set the render as image from URL. When you go to settings, then you have you have to make sure that one of these URLs is whitelisted here. And the way it's done is basically replacing this for the value that you have here in your expression. In this case, TX for Texas, it will be replaced by this placeholder, and it's going to grab that image and put it in your tooltip. You can also do that in the axis and stuff. So that's for tooltip. Do you have any questions, Boris?
Yeah. So I guess for tooltips, I guess one of the main highlights here is that you can perform aggregations very fast and see them directly in your visualizations, correct? Apart from having it as data on demand, it could be already aggregated if you want, and have it aggregated and non-aggregated, I guess. Yeah, is that true?
Yeah, that's true. You can do, depending on the custom expression that returns a value, you can show them. Usually it's an aggregated an aggregation, and then that's how the tooltip works. Let's move on to marking. So marking is another way that you can get the details, and we're talking about the data that's already on memory. So if I click state, for example, right here, then for Georgia, I have the breakdown of my cities. So basically is not just brush linking. Brush linking is when you see one is highlighted as you hover over the mouse, the different markers. But with data on demand, with marking, you can limit the data of this particular visualization of whatever you are marking in this other one. So, for example, this visualization is limited. Let me just go through the details so you know what I'm talking about. So this visualization right here, if I go to the data, it's pulling the data from demographics by city, and I'm using this marking. Is called cities. So whenever I'm marking this visualization, I'm using a marking that I call city, and it's a blue marking. But this map has a different marking. This map has, let's go to the properties and go to the layers. I'm interacting with the states layer, and I can see that the marking is called a state. I'm not limiting anything just yet, but I'm looking the states marking. In this other visualization, I am using a different marking, but I'm limiting the data by states. If I don't do anything, then it's going to show all the states, but I want to just limit that. So the same thing goes for that way I can change different visualizations. So the same thing goes for this one. If I click this Atlanta, I can see additional information here. So that's
this
how
is
it works.
almost as if you're creating a hierarchical marking when we're talking about, obviously in this case, cities and states and even countries. You can customize you can make your own custom hierarchical marking with data on demand.
That's right. So this visualization is limited by this visualization, and this visualization is limited by this visualization. And you can also make those visualizations. Let's look at this one. And look, I am using both markings to make this react for when both markings are set. And then you can do the an and or an or. So either or both needs to be marked in order to show this information. So just to finish up with marking, I'm going to talk about detailed visualization. So in detailed visualization, what you can do is right-click, and when you are analyzing your data, you can maybe create a detailed visualizations to further analyze your data with this tool that is called create detailed visualization. I'm going to create a bar chart. It's going to prompt me which data table I'm going to use. I'm going to use the let's do the demographics by city. I click OK, and it's going to show me one of the measures, in this case the race, and then I can change to the count, and now I can see. But now I don't have to configure anything else, because when I click, automatically this visualization is updated. So basically what's happening is automating that process to create that visualization, and also setting up the marking for you. I didn't do anything. It was created by me. And if a marking is needed, you don't have to create the marking. It's going to create the marking automatically for you. And you can view your markings and see how they are all tied together. You can manage your markings, rename them, change the colors and whatnot. And this is a very useful tool that you should keep in mind. All right, so now let's move to details on demand. The details on demand is very nice. You have a panel right here. This panel, I'm going to close it so you can know where it's located. Again, you go to view, and then you go to details on demand, and the details on demand is going to show you whatever you have selected. I have selected these. Depending on the visualization that is active, it's going to pick up the data table that is driven this visualization. In this case, is the states. I can see here in the bottom right that I'm interacting with the states underlying data table. And when I click one of these, I can see the details, all the columns when is one value. If I select multiple values, then it's going to convert this view into a tabular format, and I can see all the columns right here. So now if I click on this other visualization, this visualization is driven by the demographics by city data table. When I click one of these values, you can see that there are different rows that are aggregated in order to conform this bar. Okay, if I go to the very details, go ahead, Boris.
So here, because we're talking still in the realm of obviously analytics and all these, the first steps of data on demand and details on demand, this is very useful for when you build some analysis. But can you tell us if there is at this stage, if there's any benefit in terms of performance, or it's purely analytical advantage when you have your analysis and you want to show more data once you click, for example, on different states?
Right. So this is again in-memory details on demand. So this is useful for when you have your data loaded in memory. If you go to the very this value is only one value, I can see all the columns just like I did with the state. But yeah, this is when you have in memory, and it's very useful when you have when you're analyzing the data. You can move this panel if I like when I looking at more rows, in order to avoid scrolling all the rows, I can click on here and then I can see the details about that. And it's a very useful way to just show and hide these details on demand panel. Okay. Let me switch back to the slides because now I'm going to talk about different topic. So, well, it's we cover the on-demand when the data is in memory, but now we're going to talk about external data loading. So external data loading, you can use input controls like drop downs or input controls or other ways, basically document properties, because the controls are driving the document properties. You can also select multiple values and pass that as a parameters with marking. And those parameters can be passed to information links or data connectors. They behave the same way, or even a data function if your data is not in the database but maybe a REST API, you can have that all there. And also Spotfire has performance optimization features like caching. So if someone is using, or you yourself are fetching the same value, instead of going back to the database and fetching all those values, if you already got it before, it's going to keep a copy internally, and then it's going to look at those values. Unless you want to see what's the actual data in the database, and you can remove the caching, but then you have to pay a little price for that, the time that will the data to get there. Okay, so let's go to data on demands. The first thing I want to show you now is let's look at this data. This data, going to my data panel, I'm going to switch to, I have information from Frag Focus. It's a database that has publicly available information about the different here we have the chemicals. Oh, here, Frag Focus chemicals. Oops, I have to change the columns and show everything here. Let me show everything. So these are all my columns. That's all my columns. On my Frag Focus, I filtered a couple of them, but that's fine. So this is, I have also the state name, the county, and some other measures, the well name, the location, and whatnot. So let's go into the data on demand. And I have a lot of information. Right now, I just pull a certain amount of data, but the actual data table, I'm going to go and show you how much data. These are my data source. I'm using Postgres. But if I go to the chemicals and look at the row count, that's more than 6 million rows of data. So I don't want to download everything. I just want chunks of them. Okay, so in order to do that, I created a couple of tables. One is a lookup table that only has a distinct values of the states, and this is how it looks. This is only one column. It's bringing on the states, and this table is going to drive this dropdown. But now I'm going to do a trick. I'm going to pass this parameter in order to bring another data table, which is the counties. I don't want all the counties. I just want, for some reason, it's just an example. But if I change this dropdown to something else, now it's going to go and fetch the counties for Arkansas. There you go. And I have some of them, and the same for I mean, you know how it works. Now I set up this data table, this counties data table, to load automatically every time I change the value of the state, because the state is a parameter of that, is going to load this table. Now for this one,
you have made that quite fancy, quite nice with input controls. So you have connected that with information links, correct?
Yeah, I'm using information link. This is how it works. You don't have to go into the admin part. As long as you have access to an information link, you can set it up yourself, and I'm going to show you how it works. You go to your data canvas, or when you add a data table. When you add a data table, you can set it up to you can set up the information log. For example, the states is straightforward. That's all it is. It's just all the states that we So is just a lookup table to try that first dropdown. The dropdown accounting that is populated by passing the state that I am selecting or through my document property is defined here in counties. So now you can see that I have, I have some transformations and whatnot, but I have on-demand settings, and this is the summary. I can look at the details on the on-demand settings, and I can see that I am passing this parameter called state.dd. It stands for dropdown. So it's passing whatever the document property has is going to pass that parameter, and I'm loading it automatically. Now, the other one I want to show you is this one. This map is getting the frag focus chemicals. Let me click on that and here. Frag focus chemicals, because now it's the active visualization and you can see all the data points. But I have to refresh my data once I'm happy with, well, I didn't select any county, so it's probably not going to show anything, but yeah, it's not. So I have to select the county. Let's do Alabama, and then, well, let's do Texas. I have Texas, and then I have to wait until this dropdown updates. For some reason, where I'm sharing, there we go. And then I can select Anderson, and then I rephrase the data, and now is this table. You can see the number of rows is going to change only with the it's only 639, but it's not the entire data set. Let's do this again, and you notice how that is taking a while to load, and I'm gonna show you how to make this automatic. But yeah, I have here the data, and you see that Andrews and all the data that is related for that specific county.
So I guess here is where the performance starts playing a way bigger role than in the previous demos that you showed us. If we have a table of 6 million rows, here you're just fetching like 1,000 or so.
Yeah,
and
I mean, if you have
in memory, Spotfire would be way more challenging to work with that.
Yeah, if you have the resources, the memory, and the compute power, then yeah, it's perfectly fine to load those 6 million records. Spotfire is capable of doing that. The limit is really the hardware and the capacity. But if not, you can get those chunks. If you have it in memory, then you can do you can analyze the data. But if not, then you can optimize by just analyzing portions of data. I mean, you can pay the price at the beginning by waiting to load all that data, and then you can work very fast, or you can just make payments. I mean, if you want to see a little bit of this, then you have to wait a little, but you don't have to wait for the entire data set to load. So my frag focus data that has 6 million rows of data, I can set it up by changing the on-demand settings, and I can see that I am allowing the caching. So next time I select the same counties, should load faster. And I can also make it load automatically. So let's try to load automatically, so I have to click the refresh button that is here. So when I change to Anderson, now it loads automatically. Andrews already was preloaded. Now you can notice how fast it is. And now if I go to Angelina, then it's going to take a while because it's the first time I load the data from Angelina. And there we have it. Okay. But the question is, what if I want to select more values? I have a different use case for that. In this case, it was just one value. I have a drop down, and this drop down is data on demand from this one, and this map is data on demand of the county that I selected. In fact, I think it's the county and the state that you can pass multiple parameters at once. But when you have multiple, let's say I want to see my operators based on the state I have. So I have another data table here for these. These are the states, but I have another data table. So I created another lookup table for my operator, for my states. FracFoc will come. Let's look at this one. So that's the states that I have presence on my, or I have data on my FracFocus. It's not all the states, but everything that I have that I have information through. Okay, so now if I select one state by marking, I have to select the states. Okay, I select this one, and then it's going to pull all the operators. I have more than 3,000 operators in the state of Texas. Or here I have 208. But if I want to combine, for example, this one, New York, I have only 2. But if I want to combine them with these other states, I have also 2 operators right here. Let's look at, it's still working. There we go. So I have 116, but if I want to add more, I just control click and I will get 2 more operators from New York. And here you can see the change. And I can drive that visualization from different other visualizations. Here I have a tree map, and I also, instead of a drop down, I have that you can select multiples. There are ways to convert. You can also use these operators. So now I am selecting the operators, and that should bring the map will the operators that I have here. For that, I'm going to show you how that's done. So I go to the properties of the data table, that FracFocus chemical. I have to do a couple of changes because right now this map is only reacting on a single value, which is the county. But now I want to select the operator that I have selected in order to bring that data here. So let's go to data canvas and change the on-demand settings. So I'm going to remove this. I'm not interested in the state or the county. I'm only interested in the operator name. So I'm going to define the input, and I'm going to select the for the input. I'm going to select. Let's see. One second. I'm looking at my notes. Well, I'm going to select the values from columns. I'm going to select the operators table, and I'm going to select the operator name. And I want I don't want to. It's limited by it's just it's going to be limited by, well, actually nothing. I think it's just actually no. It's values from property. Yeah, never mind. So I'm going to look.
There's too many options at this stage.
Yeah, too many options. Well, this is the operators drop down that I'm using. It's a string links. It's an array, so it's multiple. There are multiple values. So I'm selecting these as multiple values, and when I click OK and I set everything up, then now I can now it's loading those operators where I have the operators in this map. I think we have a couple more minutes, but you get the idea. This is how it works, and I can select multiple operators, and then my map is going to show me where these 3 operators are located in my map.
I guess this is the most useful when you have a centralized database, or even if you're using multiple data sources. Loading data on demand is way more beneficial than obviously loading it directly in memory in Spotfire. I know that what you said about the price that you pay with the loading time, but obviously it depends on the size and how people already have organized their data in the organization.
Yeah, that's right. Because I have the cache enabling is not going to take that long if I select those 3 again. So I select those 3 and it's not going to, well, it should be faster. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, let's move on to the data connectors because we're running out of time. And I'm going to do, it's basically the same thing. This should take very, very quick. So I go to, I'm going to add now a connection. I'm going to select Postgres, which is the database I'm using. And because I have this a test database, I'm using my local host, username and password. And the database is the test database. Okay. I click OK, and now I get all the data. So let's go to my frag focus chemicals. I bring all the columns, and I can, that's all I need. Right now, that's all I need. When I click OK, it's going to, this is data connection. And click OK. But now, if I want to fetch based on the operator again, let me bring that table right here, is the data connection one. I have the data that is basically all the data, but because it's external data, it's only bringing so much. It's not bringing the entire 6 million rows. It's just bringing so much because it's a data connection, and that's how they work. But if I go to my data connection and I change the settings, I go to the on-demand settings, it just works the same way. I am going to select the operator name, define the input. I'm going to use my values from a property. In this case, is my drop-down. And when I click OK, now the operators for that specific drop-down, if I change it, now it's loading, and I didn't set the automatic on demand, so I click refresh, and it's bringing only the data for that specific operator. Hopefully, it's probably just a couple of rows, but that's what we have here.
Yeah.
That's the rows. And last but not least, when you have external data, I have this other use case where I have the different cities, major cities in Texas, and I want to pull the weather information. I have temperature, humidity, and the average pressure in this plot. I can just go ahead, and is running a data function that is bringing the information from that API, converting it into a data frame, and just load it. You should be, it's a very simple data function, and you can use Python or R to achieve all of this. It's just a way to demonstrate that you can drive this by document properties, marking, and whatnot.
Great. Thank you very much, Jose. I think that was all of your demos for today.
Yeah.
Correct. All right. So let me go back to my screen. Right. We had a very quick summary for you guys today about data on demand. Have a look at this table. Importantly, we have two references. There are a couple of community articles that are quite useful for data on demand and details on demand. So we use some of those sources for today. So have a look at our community page, and if you want to understand more or even recreate some of those use cases yourselves. Don't forget to subscribe to like and subscribe for our sessions. Again, we're going to be live next Tuesday and every Tuesday of every month on YouTube and on LinkedIn. And feel free to contact us and share us your ideas, your tips and tricks. We're trying to get all of our content being inspired by you and being useful for you guys. So don't hesitate to email us at doctor@spotfire.com. And I think that was it for today. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for joining, and see you next month.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.